Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Christmas movie theater movies.
I'm Dan. I despise Christmas movie theater movies.
Yeah.
I'm Alonso, and I'm hearing that Dwayne is not going to be here for another couple of hours. And this
It's
Deck
the Hallmark Podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Dwayne the bathtub.
I'm drowning. Can you imagine if Vin Diesel was Callum Drift? Can you imagine Vin Diesel as Callum Drift? How much fun we'd have had.
we just had Dave and I just had this conversation of like, what if we had it wrong all this time?
Yeah.
What if it turns out that Vin Diesel is actually the
good guy.
conscientious one? Yes.
That's right. No, I've wrestled with this
Santa's family.
since Black Adam came out and we heard the stories behind that. I have wrestled with this. Like, it's like everything you thought you knew about the world is wrong. Like I should have been team Vin Diesel, which I can't believe, but I'm saying it now. It's unbelievable.
I will say this for Mr. Johnson. The fact that he is signed on to do a Scorsese movie, to me, just smacks of like, I can behave.
I promise. I swear.
I can work for a director who will actually tell me what to do and I will do it. So please, give me another shot.
Everyone be nice to me now.
We'll see.
Be nice. Listen, what can you say? Except you're welcome. That's all. That's all we know. Big news over the past few days, Alonso, in regard to your latest upcoming book release. Tell the world.
Yeah, very excited. So the second edition of Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas, a revised and expanded update of my 2010 holiday film guide, is coming out September 4th, and it is already available at some of the places online where you might buy books, and I'm sure it will be coming up in other places soon. Go to your local bookstore and put in a pre-order. That encourages them to get more copies. Ask your library about snagging one. Just get the word out. But I'm very, very pumped about this, and it's got a new cover, which I'm very excited.
I was going to ask you about the new cover because I know that's been a point of contention with you and your own book over the last 15 years.
Yeah, I believe me. Thank you to everybody who bought the first edition of this book, despite the fact that it looked like a 16mm film rental catalog. This new cover, I think, really pops, and I'm very excited about it.
Is today's movie Red One? Did it make the cut?
It did actually.
Just by the hair of The Rock's clean shaven chin. I don't know, guys.
I had a lot of 2024 to get in there, much of which we will be discussing in the coming weeks.
Very good. Well, we're very excited, and I can't wait to get my hands on that book. It's going to be. It was already so good. The fact that it's now bigger and better.
I've already ordered several copies for the office.
Wow.
Don't worry.
Thanks.
Just now, as you were doing the bit about the Rock's
chin
shape. Yeah, that's how long it took. It was done just like that.
Well, I don't need it from you, but we're very happy for you, and happy for the world that we're getting more Alonso Duralde on our bookshelves. I think that's a win for everybody, Dan.
That's right.
Thanks.
Shall we dive into Red One?
I would love to, Brandon.
Let's do it. Red One originally came to your movie theater, your local cinema, on November 15th, 2024, and it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with this kid, Jack. He doesn't believe in Santa and doesn't think that anybody else should either. He tells all of his cousins that Santa doesn't exist. He reminds me a lot of my friend Dan.
If you say it like that.
He even shows them where their parents are hiding the gifts. Very naughty. Fast forward 30 years and Jack is now an adult, still very naughty. He's stealing important information and selling it to people on the dark web. Cut to Santa, the Claus, who is doing some mall duty. That's right. Santa gets out there on the streets, tries to remember what it's like down here.
Just a little tune-up.
Just a
some
little
road
tune-up.
work.
That's exactly right.
Sometimes you got to go to the Comedy Cellar and work out new material.
That's exactly right. He reminds himself why he does this. By his side is Callum Drift, the head of Santa Security. When they return to the North Pole, Cal tells Santa that he's retiring There's just too much naughty out there. But there's no time to mourn the loss of Cal to the business because Santa gets kidnapped. They suspect that it has something to do with the information that Jack stole, so they track him down for questioning, and Jack is completely shocked to find out that Santa is real, along with some other mythical creatures. They hire Jack to help find Santa because Jack is really, really good at tracking people down. Cal is annoyed that he has to team up with Jack, but that's life sometimes, Rock. You gotta work with people. They track down Ted, the broker who bought the stolen information. Ted reveals that the kidnapper at least the person that he got this information from is the Winter Witch, Gryla? How do you say it, Alonzo? Grilla? Grilla. So, Grilla. Suddenly, Grilla takes over Ted's body, exorcist style, and warns him, and then sends snowmen to kill them. They manage to fight them off by taking off their carrots, and but not before Ted gets frozen. It's tough. They suspect that Grilla might be working with Santa's estranged brother, Krampus, maybe you've heard of him, who originally created the naughty list. Cal and Jack break into Krampus's lair of sorts, but they're captured and forced to slap fight Krampus. They discover that Grilla came to Krampus to retrieve a magical snow globe that can imprison people. Grilla's plan is to duplicate said magical snow globe and imprison anybody who has ever been on the naughty list. She decides to test the snow globe on Jack and his son Dylan, who kind of gets pulled into all of this mess, even though they have a strained relationship. Cal realizes that the only place capable of duplicating such magic is the North Pole. That means that they never left the North Pole. They've been there the whole time, and Santa is trapped in this magical vault that is draining him of his power. Inside of their snow globes, Jack and Dylan have a heartfelt convo, which makes them nice and causes the globes to shatter. That's all it takes, just one nice conversation. Grilla is about to take off with unconscious Santa, planning to use his sleigh and reindeer to deliver the snow globes, but not if Cal and Jack have anything to say about it. They fight, causing the sleigh to crash land. This makes Grilla very mad, who drops her human disguise and goes full giant witch mode on them. Luckily, Krampus shows up to save his brother, but Grilla is too powerful. Santa finally wakes up, and with the help of his reindeer, they manage to capture her and imprison her in a snow globe. Now the rush to deliver the presents is on. Santa invites Jack and Dylan to join him on his Christmas Eve quest, and as Cal watches them watching Santa in amazement, he realizes that maybe all of it is worth it after all. He tells Santa that he's not going to retire, and Santa is happy, ho, ho, ho. And that, my friends, was
Red One. We did it.
We did do it. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down with, I think we're going to do 4 segments.
I love that plan.
I think we should do it.
Yeah.
Here on Deck the Hallmark. Welcome back, everybody, to Deck the Hallmark. I'm Brian. That's Dan. Alonzo's here. We're covering Red One today, the 2024 theatrical classic. We're excited to break this one down. We missed it during the holiday season. We finally got here, and it's time to share our hot takes. What do we think about the Red One? I'm going to start with you, Alonzo.
Yeah, this movie, people really dumped on it when it came out. They were mad.
Not you. And you gave it a ripe tomato, Alonzo.
I did. I'm getting there. Thanks for the spoiler there, Daniel. The word had come out. There was a big article in my former employer about how this movie had gone insanely over budget, and a lot of it had to do with Mr. Johnson showing up late, and hiring his brother-in-law to be like the producer, and giving him a screenplay credit. And so I think a lot of people had their knives out for this movie when it finally opened. No apologies to Chris Evans for that title. And look, I get why there's a lot about this movie that is formulaic. There's a lot about this movie that is standard, by the numbers, big, sort of superhero style action movie. But I was charmed by it, and I was a little hesitant about watching it again for this because I thought, is it going to hold up? But I was charmed by it again. So I know what's wrong with this movie, but it has enough of the fun Christmas stuff. The fact that Lucy Liu and Dwayne Johnson are playing it so straight, like they're never winking to the camera about this. They are taking all of this nonsense with such utmost seriousness. That for me, it works. I had a good time.
This is it's embarrassing.
No apologies.
I didn't think we were going to get one, but also hearing you say all that stuff, it's just hard. It's just tough.
I was not charmed by this one, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm charmed by the final 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the final 5 minutes where Santa goes and delivers is so good that it made me forget how much I did not enjoy this movie until I rewatched it and said, oh yeah, I really didn't like it. I didn't like all of the mythical creatures. I don't care about Grilla. I don't care about Krampus.
She's the mother of the Yule Lads, Bran.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, that's
Yule
not,
Lads represent.
it's not enough to hold the milk for Santa, in my opinion.
What?
I don't know
if I love that.
It's like hold water,
yeah.
but it's the milk, Santa's
No.
milk.
Just stop right there.
So yeah, I just kind of felt like it was. Listen, big budget, big CGI. They're throwing it all on the screen, and I don't know. I was very intrigued by the premise of this movie. Santa gets kidnapped. Rock, Chris Evans team up, go find him, and I almost just wish that that's where the mythical creature of it all stayed, and it was some other storyline about who kidnapped Santa or whatever, because it just didn't quite work for me, and it wasn't because of the story about the Rock.
I didn't know about that until after it was till after the movie was released.
That did not play into my feelings on it. And but the last fight, Santa delivering gifts, is as good as it gets.
As inventive a way for him to deliver gifts.
Amazing. And Dan, you and I always talk about like Santa Claus, North Pole, Tim Allen Santa Claus, like that's the North Pole. This is like, oh yeah, this makes sense how it gets done. This is how it's done. And so really well done. Could have used more J.K. Simmons, and unfortunately he was in a coma for a bulk of this movie, and so
could have used more Bonnie Hunt, definitely. Always.
Yeah,
yes.
So yeah, just an okay, but the last few minutes of this movie make you forget how ridiculous the rest of it is, and so there's that. Dan,
gosh, this movie's trash. This movie, I didn't know the story that premiered in the online publication of Alonso's former employer. But I do know this movie premiered roughly 10 days after the election, and Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune, one of my favorite critics, not my favorite, obviously, but one of my favorite critics, his blurb on this movie is better than anything I could tell you. And his blurb is, Red One is the holiday fantasy built on retribution, punishment, and crushed hopes we all deserve right now. Which is one of my favorite critics' blurbs maybe of all time. It's great. Much better than this movie. There's so many cardinal sins this movie commits. Number one, the effects look dated I saw this movie in the theater and the effects look bad in the theater. So that's not where the money was spent. Clearly, that's not where the money was spent. Number two, a waste of J.K. Simmons, a waste of Bonnie Hunt, a waste of Lucy Liu, who is so deadpan monotone in this movie. It's, I think Alonso appreciated it. It was a feature for him, a bug for me. The next cardinal sin it commits is it 100% cares more about how impressed they are with building this world than actually having a plot that makes sense. So it's a lot of time is spent with what is the North Pole and Santa and the sleigh and this mythical organization. What does it all look like? And so they spend time crafting this thing, and it is just a big bag of nothing. It's so long. It is a movie that just really wears on you until the last 5 minutes, where I do agree with you that that is pretty solid. I'm not convinced Chris Evans and The Rock ever talked unless the word action was said. And when I saw this in the theater, I was like, these two people don't like each other. And I didn't know about the art. I didn't know about the story. I was just like, these two people hate each other. Like there's just, and you've got like character actors all through this thing. Kiernan Shipka, is that her name?
Yeah.
She's a great actor. Mad Men, she's wonderful. I don't think she's right for this. Nick Kroll, they waste him. He's usually really funny. Virtually none of this works for me. It is just bad set piece after bad set piece, and it is just clanging cymbals. I had no interest in this movie, and when I went in, I had fairly high hopes. And then when I watched it a second time, I was like, maybe I was too hard on it. And no, I really, really hate this movie. Never again. Never again. I'm out. I'm out on any Red One rewatches.
My favorite critic blurb is from Amy Nicholson, who said, "This is the movie that will live forever in the back bedroom while the grown-ups are all on the sofa having adult chit-chat."
Yeah, that's a good one. Speaking of which, that's another thing I hate about this movie, which is it's not, like, in my opinion, not good enough as a Transformers or Marvel but Christmas, and not kiddie enough for my kids to watch it.
Right.
Like that's the thing is it doesn't ever feel like it lives. It feels like it's like we have to hit all four quadrants equally. Right. Like it doesn't, it feels like a movie that doesn't know its tone very well.
They could have easily kiddified this.
Yeah. And and I'm not talking about the language. I don't really, like, personally, my kids hear those words in a movie. That's not a reason enough for them not to watch it.
Or
I'm
when
talking
you're yelling
about
at them.
how, of course. That's when they hear it the most often. I'm talking about how scary everything is and how much it is and how broad it is. They could have easily made a PG-13 version of this that's still awesome for an 8-year-old boy to watch. Like they could have done that, and they just don't. And that was frustrating, not because I wanted to take my kids to see it, but because, like, pick a lane. Like, I would never take my 8-year-olds to see Transformers, like, never. But personally, and that everybody has their own decision there, but, like, this movie just doesn't fit in either world. That was the other thing. It was just meh.
Nah.
I hate it.
It's time for all the feels where we talk about what in this movie gave us feels. Alonzo?
Well, I think my first feel will be the look on Daniel's face when I tell him that The Rock was inspired to have this movie released in IMAX when he went to see Oppenheimer.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Who does he think he is? We should have been Team Vin Diesel the whole time. Hey, and also, I meant to tell you this. Vin Diesel was in a Sidney Lumet movie and ruined it single-handedly. So
I'm aware.
The Rock can take down Martin Scorsese. Don't you worry.
Another way for them to be equals. I agree with you. The major feel of this movie is the last bit where the how does Santa do it in one night thing. I think they do as good an explanation of it as I've seen since, like, Arthur Christmas. And the Callum seeing Jack and Dylan bonding and seeing the good in Jack come out and the kid in Jack come out, and that sort of being the inspiration for him to stick around. Those are the actual feels that I had. But I was far more entertained by this than y'all were, clearly. So, and then most critics as well. I know I'm in the minority here. This is not a hill I'm going to die on, but I think, like, okay, when we talked about Dear Santa, and we were talking about the things that it thinks it can get away with simply by being a Christmas movie, I think there's stuff that Red One gets away with just being a Christmas movie.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, not sorry.
Man.
Do you think, like, did the other, like, mythical creature stuff work for you, Alonzo?
He didn't care. He was he was having a fun time.
No, look, I think I love any excuse to trot the Yule lads out. I love Krampus as a character, and I love the fact that they cast what's his face from Game of Thrones to play him. Yes. Did the Krampus sequence have to be as long and have so many scary things in it? Maybe not. But because if you're going to kidnap Santa, it's got to be somebody who is of equivalent, power as Santa. So it can't just be like, John Lithgow in Santa Claus the movie. It's got to be somebody
Would watch.
who is also like magical and mythical, you know.
No, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like, give me like Taken, but instead of Liam Neeson's daughter, it's Santa Claus.
Just make one villain. Don't make this whole like elaborate labyrinth of like they're connected to them, and this is the ex-boy. Krampus is the ex-boyfriend of the Gila monster, and the blah blah. Like I don't know. Like it just
Imagine Liam Neeson going, Santa, he's been taken.
he's been taken.
But that's like your classic sort of 007 cape or whatever. There's never like we immediately know who the bad
Correct.
guy is. We have
Yeah.
to like find the bad guy via the other, you know, things.
Yeah.
Obviously the end of this movie wonderful, but also J.K. Simmons lifting weights. I turned to Dan and I said that guy is so cool.
He's the coolest.
J.K. Simmons is so cool, and him sitting down and just booming up some weights. I clearly know all the jargon. He's so cool. He's like, and let's add some more weights.
I showed my kid the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man this weekend for the first time, and he's great in that movie. Working at Jonah J.
Oh,
Jameson.
yeah.
He's fun in that. He can do no wrong.
That's right.
The movie does wrong by making him in a coma all movie. But yeah, no, the end of this movie, I think we've said it a bunch, but I told Bram when we were watching it, like, you guys really liked Arthur Christmas, and that really wasn't for me. This movie strikes the perfect balance of, like, in Arthur Christmas, it's like we've gone full tech on how we deliver gifts. And then the old school way is just Santa just goes to each house and takes his time, and it just works. This ending strikes this perfect balance of the old nostalgia of Santa just taking his time and he's in some sort of time warp, and the Arthur Christmas of we have this giant SS Santa prize and we're just like, and all the elves are delivering the gifts. The way that this happens and as quick, it almost felt like the first thing they shot, because it is full of Christmas spirit. And where all of it works. Them riding on the sleigh and Bond
the salt shaker in the stockings. That was
yeah.
that's amazing.
But also, I told Brand, like, if they had started with a scene like this, like if a year earlier he's delivering presents and it all goes well, and that is like established, and Santa is more established, and then we get everything that happens. Yes, the movie's longer, but we could take out some of the mythology, which I just think this movie could have been a little bit more streamlined in that regard. I don't know. I was just trying to find ways to fix it, and it doesn't deserve it.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to the way, what, and the what, the Hallmark here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking Red One 2024 theatrical release. It's time for the way, what? What in this movie made us go away? What? I'll start with you, Alonso.
Yeah, you guys pointed it out. I think the idea that the villain's plan is to imprison naughty people in snow globes, but if they have one nice conversation, they get out.
Yeah.
Like that's
a big one.
It's almost sort of like, well, then let her do it, I guess. Like,
go for it.
It couldn't hurt.
They'll learn their lesson.
Yeah, like a little free therapy for everybody.
Seems foolproof, really.
Why not? Yeah, I'd say like maybe just let that happen, and maybe that's the point. Maybe this is one of those movies like Black Panther, where like, oh yeah, the villain is right, actually. Beyond that, I mean,
it's tough.
I think, again, this is a Santa Magic movie, so that sort of like allows you to paper over a lot of things about time and space. So often in these movies we get a character like the Chris Evans one, who is like so seemingly irredeemable, but somehow like got someone to have his child, and I always wonder what that story is. Like, did he have a moment of turning that down a bit to get this woman who is clearly awesome to have his child, or
does he just look like Chris Evans?
Does he just look like Chris Evans? Exactly. And the tequila was involved, and they just carried on with it.
Yeah.
I would love to know a little backstory there, but there's not a lot to pick at here, because this is a movie movie with a government agency that deals with mythological creatures. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. There is a saying, Dan. It's like taking candy from
This
a
is a good
baby.
one.
And early on in this movie, his first little, mission, it's so easy. And he walks outside and he looks, and there's a baby, and the baby has a little sucker, and so he takes the candy because it's it's to say like the mission was just
It's a
as easy
metaphor.
as this. Why is that baby got a sucker?
No, you can't.
Baby, you can't have that. You're too young.
With the plastic still on it,
yes,
too.
with the plastic's still on it.
So many
very
choking hazards.
concerning.
Yeah.
Very concerned for
Someone
this
let
baby.
their baby by themselves in a stroller
with a lollipop.
sucker.
Yeah.
I think it's Florida. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's Florida.
okay.
There it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
now it makes sense. That's
Yeah.
just childcare. They call
Yeah.
suckers childcare.
That's exactly
in
right.
Florida. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And two, like the whole like imprisoning all of the naughty people. It was so like the first time I watched it, I was like, did they say they're gonna imprison all the naughty people? Because I'm so used to like the bad guy in these movies being like, it's time for the nice people to get. But in this movie, the bad person's like, we're not being hard enough on the naughty people. We're going to imprison them in this thing. And so the first time I watched this, I was like, did they say it correctly? Because I was like, so wait, you don't think Santa's being harsh enough? And so, that's the whole thing.
The disciplinarians are stepping up.
That's exactly right. Someone's got to teach these naughty kids what's up. That's where I'm going to step in. And I just, that was quite the reveal for me the first time that I watched this movie. Dan?
I only have two. One is Chris Evans continues to remain shocked by new crazy things long after he should. I don't like when he's like detained, he sees an actual headless human being, a pumpkin head that is on fire and talking. And then a polar bear just walks with a vest on and he's like, oh my God. It's like, dude, like you're in it now. Like, I don't know and he continues throughout the movie. Like at some point it just is the normal. Like it's just the thing that is happening for you to continue to have this level of reaction. I mean,
in his defense, though, this is all happening in one night. So
I was going to say this is all
true,
but
but
pretty quickly put
as
together.
soon as I get Headless Horseman, I feel like maybe there should be a tiered step down.
Daniel would take it all in stride.
That's
Not
right.
the first one, not the first one, but after that, I'd be like, let's roll.
let me see what else you got back there.
Yeah, another way what I had was one of the premises of this movie, with which Alonso alluded to, is there's a government organization that knows about all the mythical beasts. They're all real, but that also leads, like there's a trickle down effect where a lot of adults, not all adults, I think that was a question that we had, but not all adults, but a lot of adults know about Santa Claus in this movie, like a lot of them. So like air traffic control. A lot of air traffic controllers know about Santa. He's cleared to
the Air Force.
That's right. Move in and out of. And the fact that this many people know about Santa and we don't get any sort of like stuff that breaks from time to time. It's like, there's a thing in the sky. We don't know what it is. And people are like, and the government's like, yeah, we don't either. You know what I mean? Like we don't get any of that in this movie. It's just, normally no humans see Santa and then a kid sees Santa and nobody believes him. That's kind of how these things go. In this movie, I mean, there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands of adults that all know for a fact Santa is real. And that has not permeated the culture any more than just he's full myth. And I thought that was kind of crazy and different.
Daniel, are you saying the Air Force isn't keeping secrets from us right now?
Listen, that's
That's
a brand
right.
question. That's a brand question. I think the Air
you're-
Force is on the up and up.
Your wait, what is so funny because it's like they're already doing that with aliens.
But 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 the thing is we get these stories that leak out, and like in this movie, everyone is all collectively gone, we can't ruin this. There's thousands of us that have seen objectively, we've met Santa, but we can't ruin it. We're all in it together. We're all, how when a good movie comes out with a spoiler, nobody spoils it. They're all like, Nobody say anything. That's basically what they've all decided here, which is very impressive for this movie. That's all I got.
Can we get Bran a poster that's the I Want to Believe UFO poster from X-Files, but it's got Santa's sleigh on it instead?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Exists, right?
That's
Surely
a T-shirt idea. We gotta do
That's
that.
not bad. That's not bad at all. It's time for What the Hallmarkers. Where you wonder what could have been. Maybe happy because of clarity and questions that we still have. What are we still wondering about after we see this movie, Alonso?
Mine is not so much in universe as it is the practicality of how do these streaming services make these incredibly expensive movies and then just claim that like it doesn't matter what it made at the box office, because this was made for Amazon. It was originally just going to be on Amazon, and then because of the strikes and stuff, they're like, oh, what the heck, let's put it in theaters. And it did not make its money back in theaters because it was a very expensive movie, but they're like, it's fine. And I wonder, like, for a company like Amazon or Apple or Netflix, like, are these hugely expensive movies really just rounding errors, or are they really like suffering, and they're going to take it out on us in terms of like more expensive subscriptions later? Like, can Netflix swallow a movie like The Electric State that cost as much, if not more, than Red One did?
Yeah.
I wonder how that stuff goes, because they're very publicly nonchalant about it. And the thing is, like, a movie like Red One will continue, like, every November, December is going to get more eyeballs, wherever it goes. So it's like, I'm sure eventually it will recoup, but I would love to know how the accounting really works on these streaming movies, because it's different.
I'll say this, that this is not the worst movie made for a streamer by The Rock featuring the word red in the title that I've seen.
Thank you.
So it's not that bad.
Yeah. I find it even more interesting with Netflix, because like with Apple and Amazon, they have other things going on clearly.
Right.
Like
Could
with
be a
Netflix
write-off.
though, like this is the whole
But
ballgame.
this wasn't for Netflix.
No,
was it?
no.
Yeah.
He's just talking about different streamers.
Yeah,
like with Netflix, like with the other
Red Notice.
Red Notice. That's the whole ball game. Like,
This is what they do.
This is what they do. So it's very interesting for sure.
Wonder Woman, Daredevil, and Black Adam in an action movie that sucks.
Yeah.
How about we do that?
How about we do it? So
Wait, no, not Daredevil, Deadpool.
No, I said Daredevil. Deadpool. My bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. Thanks.
so
Good catch. Ben
There-
Affleck not in that movie.
no.
Nor is Charlie Cox.
This movie would have been there's a chance that this movie ends and it turns out that this was Santa's plan all along to keep Cal from retiring. There's a chance.
Wow.
He seems very taken aback.
Long game.
He seems very taken aback when Cal talks about retirement. He can't possibly fathom it when he finds out that it's just because he's, everyone's so naughty. He hatches up this plan. I don't know. It's possible.
Hear me
That's all
out.
I'm saying. I'm saying it's possible. Is it what happened? I don't know, but it's possible. Dan?
Hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. I don't want another one of these movies about the Mythical Oversight and Restoration Society, but I do have questions. I have questions over this organization. Like, when was it founded? When did a group of people, all Americans, right?
Yeah.
Decide that they, don't get me wrong, not surprising that America decided they were in charge of the world, but when did they decide? In what decade was this, or century for that matter, that they go, hey, all of these things do exist. They all do. Loch Ness Monster, Headless Horseman, Krampus, they all exist. And we got to regulate it. And we got to make sure that we know about it. And there's rules and there's bylaws and there are ranking officials who got, like, I want to know. I don't want a movie. I just would like someone to write me a paper.
You want a chart.
That's right. A flow chart or a 10 to 12 page paper I would gladly read on.
What if it's like a Hamilton sequel, but instead of like
Boom, ba-da-da-da, boom, boom. He was a Krampus.
I like to think there's global divisions, like the Scottish have a Loch Ness field office, and somebody else is dealing with, like, I don't know, Baba Yaga or Strigonona or whatever. I
don't know.
And Santa just became like it fell into our lap.
It seems like that the Americans are doing it all. It is what it seems like to me. But I would love a backstory, not a movie, but a backstory would be great.
That's all we're asking for. We did everything. Congratulations to us. We're back next week with the Hulu movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller's first movie in 7 years, Nutcrackers.
That's right. And you didn't review this over the holidays for Rotten Tomatoes. You didn't.
No, we talked about it on Breakfast All Day, but I did not do a written review.
There you go. So come on back next week. Hear our thoughts on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.